Hello to whoever may ever watch this video. I felt like I needed to get this out to, even if one person sees it and it helps them with the great deception that's coming to the earth. I studied for a long time and pondered and thought about what could be such a great deception that it would deceive everyone in the world except for God's very elect people. Sorry for the noise. I'm on a vacation in a beautiful tropical area. And so I thought for a long time, and then it just dawned on me one day, and I can honestly say that I haven't seen a single video. I know there's some out there. I just did a search 2 minutes ago, and there's some titles that I saw that said the same kind of thing that I'm saying here, but I haven't read or watched or looked at any of them. This is just my interpretation and what the Spirit revealed to me, and through my diligent study of the book of Revelation chapter 13. So to give you just a brief, the great deception is the Antichrist, who is Donald Trump, being brought back to life, or looking as if he's brought back to life. And as I looked through the life of the Antichrist and all the things that he does, he imitates Jesus Christ in every way. Satan knows that in order to deceive all the people of the earth, except for the elect, he has to have something so great, just as great as Jesus Christ. And so Trump is the Antichrist, and between him and the false prophet, they're somehow going to orchestrate his death and his bringing back to life. I'm not going to say the word resurrection because that's not what it is. The dragon, that old serpent Satan, doesn't have the power to resurrect any human or give them life again. But it says that the false prophet will have the power to do this somehow. So I'm going to read. So what I did here, I've studied this for about 6 months now and pondered it and prayed and just, I don't know how many of you do this same thing, but just stew over it over and over again and wonder, am I crazy? Is this stupid? And the more I read Revelation 13, I was just convinced. So today I decided to use, and I do use ChatGPT. I think everyone should. It's just a great study tool, if nothing else. It helps you just do stuff much quicker and get information much faster. So between ChatGPT and I, we went through every phrase and every word, every single word in Revelation 13, and the Greek, the original Greek, and then the transliteration, and then the translation into English, and then any words like image or beast or rising from the sea or all these, metaphors, the bear, the leopard, defined every single one of those until I felt like I understood it exactly in my language. So what I did was I created what I call my own translation. That's not what it is. I didn't actually translate it, but I did. I'm gonna pull it up here. Sorry, I'm a little slow. I'm not a YouTuber, guys. I'm just a guy that has been sick my whole life and has had a pretty tough life. And I just, a few years ago, went through a spiritual awakening and decided that I didn't decide. I just was compelled to read and study end days scripture like I can't describe to you. Like I was just, like it's the most favorite thing in the world to you, something that you can't live without or breathe without. It was my food and my water and my air for a couple years, and it still is. Okay, so I had to pause for a minute because I'm kind of computer illiterate. So I did my own translation. I basically went through, as I said, every single word in the Greek and what it means, how it was translated in English, and then wrote it in my words. So I'm going to read this to you. I saw a king rising up from out of the chaotic Gentile nations of the earth, having 10 kings or power centers that receive authority with him, and 7 ruling heads representing the empire system he rises from and embodies. And these 10 powers had royal authority placed upon them, and upon the ruling heads of this empire system were God-defying names and claims that exalted the beast system against God. And the beast king I saw embodied the traits of the old beast empires, swift and cunning like the leopard, crushing and powerful like the bear, and speaking with devouring authority of the lion. And Satan handed this beast king his power, his ruling throne and great authority to rule on his behalf. And one of the ruling heads appeared to have been violently struck down unto death. And the deadly wound was healed and restored, and the whole earth was astonished by the beast and followed after him. That's the part, one of the parts in this where you really need to focus on, and don't just read what it says in the King James Version or the NRSV version or any other version. Go to the Greek, figure out what it said. Because many versions of the Bible make it sound like he just had a bad wound and it was healed. Okay, whoop-de-doo, right? Anyone now, well, not anyone, but surely the false prophet Elon Musk and all his technology nowadays would be able to heal a wound. But no, this is a deadly wound. He was killed. At least that's what we are shown. Now, whether he really dies or not, I don't know, but I believe he does. I believe that he actually dies, because later, if you remember, it says he comes from the bottomless pit to rule as the Antichrist. So I believe he actually goes and communes with Satan, comes back somehow, and I don't, like I said, it's not a resurrection. I don't know that part, but he's brought back to life, and you'll see this as we go. And the whole earth was astonished by the beast and followed after him. And they gave worship and allegiance to Satan, because Satan had given his authority to the beast king. And they also gave worship and allegiance to the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast king, and who has the power to fight against him?" And the beast king was given a powerful voice to speak arrogant claims and blasphemies against God, and he was permitted to act with authority for 42 months, the appointed 3.5-year period. And the beast king opened his mouth to speak God-defying blasphemies directly against God, slandering his name, his authority, his holy dwelling place, and those who belong to heaven. And the beast king was permitted to wage war against God's elect remnant, his holy people, and to physically overcome them for a time. And the beast king was granted authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. And all the earth dwellers whose names are not written in the Lamb's book of life will worship him. But God's elect, who belong to the slain Lamb from the foundation of the world, will not. Let the one who has spiritual ears truly listen and understand. If God's elect are appointed to captivity, into captivity they will go. If anyone takes up the sword to kill, by the sword he must be killed. This is where God's holy remnant must show patience, endurance, and faithful allegiance to the Lamb, refusing to overcome the beast by the beast's own violence. That's one part. I want to pause for a second. I'm a fighter. I feel like if someone were to come and threaten my family and tell us we need to deny Christ, I want to kill some of them first. Why not? They're wicked people anyway. Why not put them down for God? Do them a favor. And I will. I'll defend my family. I'll kill. I'm not afraid to do that if that's what it needs to be. But so I spent a lot of time on this. And the conclusion I came to is not saying not to defend yourself or your family. What it's saying is to not proactively try to overcome the beast and his system, his military, his government, through force, because it's impossible. That's not how the beast is going to die. That's not how his system is going to be taken down. So it's pointless. Then I saw another beast, the false prophet, rising out of the earth, not as the sea-born king of the nations, but as a land-born deceiver from among the people, or established order. Read in the Bible where it's in Revelation 13, where it talks about the first beast, the Antichrist, rises from the sea, which represents the Gentile nations of the earth. and other things, but in this context, where the false prophet rises, the second beast, he rises from the earth. And through the Greek translation and some other things that I looked at, I determined that the first one is a ruler, a king of nations. The other one comes from the earth or from the kingdom. He's not a king. So my interpretation is Elon Musk. Okay. He had two powers of authority and appeared gentle, righteous, and lamb-like. But when he spoke, he revealed the voice and spirit of Satan. Tell me that doesn't sound like Elon Musk. When I watch that guy speak sometimes, I'm like, he sounds brilliant, but he kind of sounds like a little child. You know, the way he sort of stutters and talks different, and he's very passive, and he does sometimes call people out and drop the F-bomb, but he's not like Trump. He's not up there pounding the pulpit. Whenever he speaks, he's meek and mild. And the false prophet exercised all the authority of the first beast king, the Antichrist, on his behalf, acting in his presence and under his power. And he caused the earth and its earthbound inhabitants to give worship and allegiance to the Antichrist, whose deadly wound had been healed. And the false prophet performed great signs and wonders, even publicly making fire come down from heaven to the earth in the sight of mankind, imitating divine power in order to deceive. I've heard some people say that's already been done by him with his rockets that come down from heaven. And I mean, if you're writing this a few thousand years back and you see that in a vision, I mean, that's what you would call it, right? Fire coming down from heaven. They didn't have a concept of rockets. So that could very well be, but I also think it could be some future event where he actually makes it look like fire comes down without a rocket. And through the signs and wonders, he was permitted to perform on behalf of the Antichrist, the false prophet, deceived the earthbound inhabitants whose allegiance belonged to the fallen world system. The false prophet commanded the earthbound inhabitants to make an image for the Antichrist, the beast king, who had been fatally killed by the sword and yet lived. And the false prophet was permitted to give breath or counterfeit life-like animation to this image, making it a speaking worldwide representation of the living Antichrist's authority, so that it could enforce the worship and cause all who refused to worship the image of the beast to be killed. This was a part where I spent a lot of time, and that's one part I still don't feel like I fully understand, but I don't think that matters. If I understand everything else, I'll be fine. But the beast, the Antichrist, actually is brought back to life, or is alive and able to do his things. And so why does he need to have an image? Well, through a lot of study, what I determined, or what I think, and again, this is where, I'm not sure on this, but Trump, the Antichrist, could very well be alive and well and doing his thing, but there's an image created that's put into every part of the world where people can actually go and see him, and they have to go to this image and worship him. So Trump, or the Antichrist, doesn't have to be everywhere all at once, but the people are required to worship this image, just like in the Bible when was it Nebuchadnezzar? I just forgot anyway, probably more than one king, but where they made gold statues and I think it was Nebuchadnezzar, and they were required to worship the statue, the image of the king. Okay, and the false prophet caused everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and enslaved, to receive the beast's official mark of allegiance, whether expressed on the right hand or forehead, marking their actions or identity as belonging to the Antichrist. And no one was allowed to buy or sell unless they had this required mark of allegiance, the name of the beast or the number connected to his name. This is very important for everyone to understand this. I did enough study that I believe that the mark on the hand or the forehead could be literal or symbolic, because in the scriptures, the right hand is used as a symbol, and so is the forehead in different places, like being sealed in your forehead with God. The right hand is the hand of action and doing, and so it could be either. So don't be deceived if the mark comes out as something that you could place anywhere on your body. The main thing is is it required in order for you to buy or sell and to be part of the beast system? That's the trigger. That's the thing you need to look for. Not, oh, well, this is a mark that I can place, in my shoulder or in my chin, or, don't be silly, people. It's the same thing. The last paragraph. This is where spiritual wisdom is required. Let the one who has understanding carefully discern and calculate the number of the beast, because it is the number connected to a man, the Antichrist himself, and his number is 666. I read somewhere the other day that there's also interpretations out there of ancient texts that say 616. Again, this is not important to me. I will know, and I hope you will too, when this commandment, if you will, comes from the beast system that you have to take a mark to buy or sell. Again, it doesn't matter where it is on your body. It doesn't matter if it's 666 or 616 or 274 or whatever. The thing that you need to know is if it's required, it's you do it or you die, and then you do it or you don't buy or sell. That's the kicker. That's the thing you need to look for. So I just hope that as many people as possible can wake up to this deception that's coming, and it's already started. Trump is deceiving millions as we speak. Christians people who profess to be Christians, and but at the same time, their MAGA support, their support of Trump, will trump their support of Christ. They're not true Christians. They believe they profess to be believers in Christ, but their hearts are far from him. So, like I said, I don't know how many people will ever listen to this video, but I sure hope that as many of us as possible can wake up. And, there's a lot of scriptures that talk about, there's a lot of scriptures that talk about saving, giving your life rather than saving it, or not being afraid to give your life for the cause of Jesus Christ. And that's what it's going to come down to, my friends. It's going to come down to whether we're able to stand for Jesus Christ in the face of someone threatening to kill us or cut our heads off. So I pray that all of you can study this yourself and come to an understanding of what this great deception is going to be, so that when it happens, you won't be deceived like so many people are going to be. Good luck. Godspeed.